Hello, Artful Manifestors, and thank you for joining me for this timeless pick a card tarot reading. To choose your reading, you're going to choose from one of these crystals or one of the cards I'm about to reveal. Once you make your choice, you'll find a link to all the readings in the description box below, where I also list all the cards that I use during this reading. All right, let's see what we have. For reading number 1, Blue Lace Agate. And for reading number 2, Desert Rose. And for reading number 3, Yellow Jasper. All right, for reading number 1, this is the image. And for reading number 2, this is the image. And for reading number 3, this is the image. Let your inner wisdom guide you. Whichever crystal or card you're most drawn to is most likely the reading meant for you. Of course, if you're drawn to more than one or even all 3, feel free to listen to them. There might be additional messages for you there. Enjoy your reading. Hello, reading number 1. You chose the Blue Lace Agate, which emits a serene vibration that quiets internal storms. It's a balm for anxious thoughts, nervous speech, emotional tension. And the stone teaches you to breathe before you speak and let silence hold you. It heals the throat chakra. It helps heal not just the physical voice, but the soul's voice. So if you've felt silenced, ignored, or too afraid to speak your truth, Blue Lace Agate opens that sacred passage with softness. It nurtures authentic, heart-centered expression. It's also a bridge between the earthly and the ethereal. It harmonizes with the frequencies of angelic beings, spirit guides, ancestors. And it brings peace during emotional healing. For those going through grief, conflict, or healing of deep emotional wounds, this stone is like a cool hand on the forehead. It simply reminds you that gentleness is not weakness. And you chose Streph, which is connected to the blackthorn tree. It's associated with death because in the winter, when the other trees were, in the winter when other trees lost their leaves and everything, blackthorn was still growing. So it kind of became this tree associated with death and the underworld. And we see these chains. I feel like there's something heavy that you're carrying. And it's like this pain, this heaviness, and rather than looking towards the future, thinking about what's causing this pain or suffering or this heaviness so that you can remove it. It's like they're showing me somebody who steps on a thorn. And rather than continuing forward, you have to stop and pull that thorn out so that you can continue forward with ease and comfort. So this is that kind of moment. Even these, I don't know if it actually is this deck, but it feels heavy. Maybe I didn't notice it before, but maybe Spirit is telling me, yes, you're carrying something heavy. So let's see how you can unburden yourself. What is this heaviness that you're carrying, and how can you address it, relieve it? What will follow? All right, we have the 8 of Wands. The Ace of Swords. I do see for someone that this is grief of a loved one. Sometimes our grief is a loved one, a person, a pet, and sometimes our grief is for ourselves, something that we feel we lost. All right, a bunch of cards flew out, but one landed upright, this one. So I'm going to take that one, and give me just a minute to pick up the others that fell on the floor, though they did fall face down. So, this looks very light for such a heavy beginning. All right, this is a very specific message for somebody listening that has experienced loss of a loved one. If you're looking for a sign as to whether or not they're still with you, this is it. They're coming through very strongly that they are with you. And if it's a pet, they're still walking beside you. So beautiful. All right. The 8 of Wands is a card of speed and momentum. So, excuse me, it seems odd that this would be, what's causing your discomfort. But it's like an overwhelm from too many responsibilities or energetic inputs. It's having too many expectations and feeling hurried and rushed and pressured. It's like all this energy that's making you rush around and feel pressured, and a sense that everything is happening too fast, like you don't have enough time for all of these things, or that you feel pressured or rushed to respond before you're ready. Yeah, I just keep hearing rushed, pressured, rushed, feeling like you're being carried by outside forces rather than your own rhythm. Yeah, they just showed me somebody uh, in some rushing rapids, trying to get to the shore and unable to because the force and energy of the river just pushing them forward and hitting them against rocks, as opposed to somebody who's in a very lazy river with oars, able to steer themselves to the shore when they want to, or rest, or allow themselves to float leisurely. And so you might be suffering from this pressure to key up with healing, with work, with transformation itself. So the spiritual path can't be a race. The soul sometimes really longs for stillness, and you may be absorbing energies, emotions, information too quickly. I'm also seeing somebody receiving these energetic downloads, and it's all very exciting, and you feel like you need to hurry up and draw the perfect um, picture, or somehow translate it into some creative form perfectly right after you receive this download. Maybe it's writing a book, and it needs to kind of cure and age properly before it's ready. It's like when you make different kinds of things that need time to cure, like fermented foods or cheeses. You put the ingredients together, but then it has to age for a little while or cure for a little while. And so you're receiving these downloads, and you might feel excited, and that energy in some way wants to come out. And it is okay for it to come out, but it also needs some time to age and cure so that you can refine it before you share it with the world. All right, lots coming through today. The Ace of Swords is how you can unburden this feeling of being pressured before being ready. It's the sword of truth, clarity, mental liberation. This is your invitation to cut through noise, stories, obligations that aren't truly yours. So cutting things that you're taking on that really aren't yours to take on. This is why it feels so heavy, because you're carrying things that aren't yours to carry. So speak or write your raw truth, even if it disrupts the peace. This is a sacred digestion. And it doesn't have to be always speaking it with others immediately. I see somebody who writes an email and doesn't send it immediately. Lets it age and kind of marinate and cure, and then come back to it and read it before you send it. And naming what is not yours to carry, especially ancestral, collective, or projected burdens. Put those down. I'm seeing somebody who has a big heart and watches the news and looks at media and sees all of these injustices in the world and all of these things happening that are so far away that you can't do anything for because you're not there. It might be across the ocean. And so maybe cutting out some of that absorption of things that you have no control over. Allowing yourself, some time away from media. This can be seen as a good thing too. Lots of people, pride themselves in, yeah, I take this time and I'm reducing my time in watching social media or the news or TV, and instead I'm using that time to cultivate a garden or go for walks or write my book. And so I see, cutting things out that aren't yours to carry, including things that have been projected onto you. And allow this sword to, with surgical precision, liberate you in a very clean way. And this unburdening begins in the mind with a single clear thought. This is not my truth. Yeah, so it's like you're carrying all these ideas and thoughts and beliefs that aren't yours, that are weighing you down and making you feel like you should this, you should that, when it's not yours. It's not your truth. And what this is going to do is make space for inspiration, creative resurrection. Once the mental clutter and energetic chaos are cleared, your soul will ignite again with vitality, physical energy, libido, renewed curiosity, a new passion, a new project, a calling, the return of desire. Not just for productivity, but for the pleasure, joy, embodiment. This card is a sacred yes. It's the spark that comes only when the mind is clear and the spirit feels safe enough to burn brightly. When the weight is lifted, your fire will know exactly where to go. Just look how beautiful it is. It's like a flower, a bloom of creative spark. And this looks somber, but it's liberating. It is cutting ties to things that are slowing you down. Your suffering is the speed of everything pulling you from yourself. To unburden is to name your truth, wield your clarity, and cut ties with the noise and chaos. And what rises in the silence will be your fire, whole, holy, and entirely your own. Reading number 1. Very excited to see where this is going to lead you. It feels very enlightening and liberating and freeing. Time to let go of those burdens and time to slow down and stop rushing for others. Please let me know if this resonates. I love to read your comments, and I'm wishing you the best. The light in me sees the light in you. Thank you. Bye. Hello, reading number 2. You chose coal, which is considered lucky and a sign of great wisdom coming from nature. And it corresponds with the hazel tree, which at one time was considered to be so sacred that if you were to cut a branch from one, the consequence was death. So I see that you are seeing the sacredness of nature, and you're receiving messages and downloads about nature and from nature in all forms, from the sun, from Gaia, from the moon, the plants, the animals. And if you don't feel like you are, this is a nudge from spirit to begin to take notice. Desert rose brings clarity of mind and connection to higher consciousness, but always with grounding. It aligns your crown and your root chakra, helping you ascend without floating away. I feel this beautiful awakening happening to you, this anchored spiritual awakening, but not without being able to still pay the bills, cook dinner, and do what you got to do, right? But I do see this just beautiful, mystical, magical moments where you're really connecting to nature and having these deep understandings. And for some of you, maybe they're not quite to a point where you can articulate them or put them into words, because it's bigger than that. Wow. All right, let's find out from the tarot how you're connecting to, okay. We have the Queen of Wands. All right, that's too many. The Two of Swords. And the Knight of Wands. This card just really stood out to me immediately when I drew it and saw it. I received these flashes of insight of you celebrating seasons or holidays with ritual, with you creating your own traditions, or maybe even researching traditions and incorporating nature into your celebration, into the seasons. And look at all of these runes. I just see this joy coming from you, lighting candles and cooking special foods for different parts of the year, and creating this rhythm that goes, with the cycles of the year. And the Queen of Wands is the sensual sovereign, the witch queen of flame, instinct, and charisma. She's attuned to her environment through scent, warmth, color, and texture. So she's speaking of a deep sensory intimacy with the natural world. You might be letting the sun kiss your skin as a form of receiving light codes. Smelling herbs, flowers, earth, candles, maybe even making your own candles, your own scents, essential oils. Just engaging your sense of smell to invoke memory and meaning. And watching the dance of flame, the shimmer of water, the flicker of hummingbird wings, visual fire and vitality, creating beauty around you with flowers, color, textiles. I see somebody making wreaths and hanging that on the door, but it feels very connected to the earth. Using things that you grow, using things that you forage and harvest from your area, and just feeling very magical. Like you're casting spells through your aesthetics, crafting and decorating your room with these clear intentions of indulging your eyes and skin and senses. It's through these senses that you claim your throne in this world, and you're part of nature. You're bringing nature in to your space. You're using your senses to attune to the sacred pulse of the earth. And she is responding in kind, giving you her secrets and her wisdom. The Two of Swords is the still mind. We see how she's poised, sitting here. It's turning inward, pausing. And that's the moment when wisdom comes. It's not from seeking or stimulation, but it's like this quiet gift. When you're sitting there watching the hummingbirds, or you are letting the skin absorb the sun rays, you're also just being gifted this knowledge. So you might have your eyes closed, or you might allow inner contrast to surface without rushing to choose. You might lean into a paradox, a non-verbal knowing, just allowing yourself to receive without speaking it. This is the space between inhale and exhale, and you're refining your ability to hear beyond words. Feel the tension between two truths. Sense what your body knows before your mind catches up. And you're being asked to trust the knowing that comes without language. The whisper of the wind, the tug in your gut, and the pull towards the unseen. You know, I love all of these images. Here you are creating these spaces and seasons, celebrating the seasons, creating rhythm, being still, receiving, maybe receiving from the moon, from the water, and then going out into nature, seeing its beauty. The Knight of Wands is the seeker of fire, the passionate student of divine impulse. I see this awakening coming through movement, walking barefoot, dancing, traveling, making art, through bold sensation, tasting something wild, smelling something ancient, feeling adrenaline, desire, awe, wonderment. It's awakening coming through courage, following your intuitive yes, even before you understand why. It's through engagement, desire, and sacred risk. The Knight of Wands says, I awaken by chasing the flame I've always carried. And you ride towards what excites you, sometimes what scares you, because that is where the sacred lives. It just feels so exciting and magical. You're coming alive through sensory initiation, daring to follow what stirs you, even if it doesn't make sense. It feels so innocent. I'm not sure that's the right word, but innocence, it keeps coming to mind. It's this it's like child's play, but it is very sacred. It just feels light, enlightening. You're connecting through warmth and beauty, and you're receiving through silence and paradox or puzzles. It's knowing that none of this is real, but at the same time that it's real. And it's these deep understandings that really can't be put into words, but you're receiving these downloads and you do understand them. And you're awakening through motion, and you're anchoring it through motion, through your dancing, through standing on the ground barefoot, making fires and singing and dancing around the fire. And you're all of this, using your five senses. This is the gift of being in physical form. It's not a distraction. They are gateways. The smells, the wind, the feel of the wind, the sound of the thunderstorm, the warmth of the sun, all of these things are gifts and gateways, portals to the divine within all things, including you. And it flows through you in this very physical way and activates you and awakens you and makes you just feel so magical and alive. Wow. I just want to stay here reading number 2. So excited for you. Please let me know if this resonates. I love to read your comments, and I'm wishing you the best. The light in me sees the light in you. Thank you. Bye. Hello, reading number 3. You chose Quart, which is apple tree. And it's about, excuse me, physical and mental health, wholeness, and rest, and allowing yourself time to rest, and also choices. And it's a positive thing that sometimes comes after suffering, which is part of being human. We are going to feel uncomfortable, and we are sometimes going to suffer, and it makes what follows that much more sweeter. So this is the after. That's the good news. And yellow jasper is linked to the solar plexus chakra. It's the seat of will, personal power, and direction. It empowers you to trust your inner compass, make clear decisions rooted in self-worth, overcome procrastination, and move with purpose. It provides grounded spiritual protection by forming a shield around your aura, like, excuse me, that's stabilizing and constant, but subtle. So when you're working in a challenging environment or navigating vulnerability or doing energy work, this is a great stone for that, to gently protect your auric field, your energy. And it provides endurance, empowered patience. It gives you this slow burning strength, joyful mindfulness, present moment awareness, being present in your body and senses, releasing mental clutter and worry, cultivating gratitude for what is and not just what could be, and aligning your willpower with your higher self. All right, let's ask the cards for some more about this. This trusting yourself, becoming more empowered. Five of Swords. Five of Pentacles, Eight of Cups, the Five of Swords speaks of internal conflict. Perhaps you've doubted your voice, second-guessed your instincts, or been caught in situations where winning meant losing something sacred. You may have trusted others' opinions over your own truth. You may have abandoned yourself to avoid conflict or rejection. Somewhere along the path, a part of you learned, if I lose, I'm weak. If I win, I'm alone. So it's like you're in a lose-lose situation. It's that double-edged sword. It's like nothing is the right thing. But this card isn't a punishment, it's a mirror. So to trust yourself, you must first acknowledge the battles you've fought and forgive the part of you who fought just to survive. Trust yourself because you remember who you became to keep yourself safe. And now you choose peace over proving, truth over triumph. You might write a letter of forgiveness to your past self, the one who had to navigate difficult situations in difficult ways in order to survive. And recognize that you did what you did to survive. And you don't have to do those things anymore. This is the first sword being laid down. You don't have to fight anymore. And the Five of Pentacles is the wound of lack and abandonment, being shut out. You might have tied your sense of power to being chosen, included, supported. And when that didn't happen, you internalized the cold. But the sacred medicine of this card is that your power does not come from being invited in. Your empowerment begins when you realize you are the shelter you've been seeking. Sometimes this card is a spiritual initiation. It's that dark night that turns the soul back toward in its own light. I see you liberating yourself from old roles and beliefs and finding solace within yourself. You're not powerless. You're the warmth and the sanctuary. And if you hear movement in the background, those are the dogs. So what you might do is create a sacred space that is 100% yours, even if it's a corner or a box or a ritual, and fill it with symbols of safety, sovereignty, and belonging, and visit it often. And the Eight of Cups is your soul's quiet decision to walk away from what no longer fills you, even if it once did. It is the courageous departure from patterns, relationships, beliefs that leak your life force. Protecting your energy means allowing yourself to leave what drained you unapologetically. Recognizing when nostalgia tries to keep you bound to suffering. Trusting that walking away is not loss, it's sacred reclamation. Every step you take away from false safety brings you closer to your true self. And you might even practice, on a small piece of paper, write the name or symbol of something that drains your energy and then burn it or bury it, release it. You leave behind what no longer feeds your flame. You've been fighting shadows with a heart full of light. And what you wanted, that shelter that you wanted, maybe even begged for, you've now become. Maybe you stayed for love even when it cost you your power. And now you remember you're not here to win battles that shrink you. You're not here to sit outside the temple. You're not here to stay where your spirit can't thrive. And you're not lost. You are leaving what never truly saw you so you can become who you've always been. This feels so powerful and empowering. Reading number 3. Please let me know if this resonates. I'm wishing you the best. The light in me sees the light in you. Thank you. Bye.